Alright, page 97 homework book. We go with problem 4. 2/5 of the counters in a box were red and the rest were blue. After putting another 48 blue counters into the box, 3/4 of the counters were blue. How many counters were in the box at first? Alright, this problem is not that hard. Again, let's draw our model properly. So, oops, sorry. Okay, so, come on, right? We had before, right? We had red counters and we had blue counters. This is clear, right? And we have our fraction, right? Our fraction is 2/5, and then obviously remainder is 3/5, right? As units, we're gonna draw it like this: 2 units, right? And then our 3 units, right? 2 units and 3 units, red and blue, right? And then we go after. So what happened after? Again, our red, our blue. They tell us they put 48 blue counters into the box, right? So whatever here, this will be this 48, right? You don't need to draw this, like I'm just explaining this, right? I'm just making it clear. So they added here this 48, right? Now what we need to draw is our new model. So nothing changed with the red ones, right? So this should be very clear, and this is gonna be the most useful, most helpful moment for us, right? And so the red ones, right? We had our 2 units, right? Okay, and then the blue ones, right? So there were again our 3 units that we had. So how do we draw this 48, right? So the proportion becomes 3/4. So this will be 1/4, right? And this should be 3/4. Well, obviously, right? If this is 1/4, the 3/4 should be 3 times like this: 1, and then 2, and then 3, right? So this is what we do. We just build it up, right? We build it up to here. This is what we do. And now we can see this becomes 1 unit, 1/4, and this becomes 3 units, 3/4, right? And we just draw on this part, right? So this will be our 48. This will be our 48. That's it. So basically you have to, in this problem, right, you had this before and you draw it again, and you need to add something so the fraction changes, right? So need to think a little bit, but basically to add up to the unit bar of the blue counters, right? Not that hard. So we can clearly see, right, and the math becomes very easy. So that our 3 units here from the picture, 3 units here are 48, right? So I'm not gonna draw like this, just I'm gonna write again. 1 unit is 48 divided by 3, right? And it is 16, right? And then they ask us, right, before what happened. So before we had this 5 units, right? At first, 5 units, 16 times 5 is equal 80. That's your answer. There were 80. I will be pressing this always. 80 counters in the box at first. In the box at first. That's it. Alright, problem number 5. At a fruit stall, 5/13 of the fruits were apples, the rest were oranges. After half of the apples and 3/8 of the oranges were sold, there were a total of 120 apples and oranges left at the stall. Okay, so they ask us a couple of questions. How many apples were sold? How many apples and oranges were there at the stall at first? All right, so stall is basically like an open market, right? When you see people outside selling the fruits. Okay. Yeah, so something happened before, and then, something was before, right? And something happened after. So the first picture, we need to understand what happened before. And we have two types of fruits, right? Which are apples, and oranges. This is clear, right? 5/13 of the fruits. Clearly, we understand there will be 13 units, 5 units were apples, right? So we draw our 5 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then to make it 13, so this is the, okay, I will write it down, right? 5 units, 5 units. And as a fraction, it's 5/13. So as a fraction, obviously the leftover is 8/13, right? 5 plus 8, 13. So 8 units. We need to draw our 8 units. Let's do it. Come on. Right? Like this. Right? Well, I need a little bit more space here. I will rewrite it here. 8 units. Okay, and again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then here, right? So 8 total units. And yeah, they I cannot put the bracket here, but they basically ask us how much is that total, right? Actually, it should be on the right side. You should draw it here, but I don't have space, so I don't wanna rewrite it again. After, what happened after? They tell us that 1/2, right? Half of the apples were sold, right? Well, clearly, what do we need to do with these 5 units, right? We need to break them down into half somehow. How do we do that? We need to break each unit into 2 small units. So this is how we will split it, right? This is how we will split it into half. If you want to split it like that, we need to split every unit. Every unit. Oops. Every unit. Okay, you got this. And of course, if we did that there, we need to do this the same with the oranges too, right? So we need to split every unit into half. Okay, so those are dashed lines everywhere. And they tell us 3/8 of the oranges were sold. Well, we don't really need to split it for oranges, because it's clearly we had 8 units, and this is 5 and this is 3, right? So these 3, they tell us 3/8 were sold. Okay, we just have to redraw this part again, and this is what we do. So let's finish with apples. Okay, apples. So we had our 5 units, and now we draw our 2.5 units. 1/2, 2, and this half, right? And we need to break it down like this. So we have these 5 smaller units, right? With oranges, they said 3/8, this part was sold, right? So we need to draw this part, 5 units again. And this is what we do. We draw our 5 units again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And of course, we're gonna break it down into half. Well, it's supposed to be actually, to make it accurate, we need to make a dashed line, right? Dashed line to understand. All right, my pictures will never be as accurate as yours, because I draw on the tablet. And they tell us that total is 120 apples and oranges left. And this is our model. Now everything becomes very, very clear, right? So these 5 units, they became 10 small units, right? 10 small units. 10 small units. And these 2.5 big units, they became 5 small units. 5 small units, right? So total of 15, right? 15 units. 15 units. 15 units is 120. So 1 unit is 120 divided by 5, by 15, and it is 8, right? That is it. So 5 units, these 5 units, right? So basically half, right? We need to calculate it again. So 5 units is 8 times 5, right? We're talking about this half, so it doesn't matter. We calculate the apples left or we calculate the apples sold. It's still the same half, 5 small units. So these 5 small units is 40, yeah? And the meaning of this is 40 apples were sold or left. It doesn't matter because it's same number, right? And this is our first answer that they ask us, how many apples were sold. Now B, they ask us how many was altogether, and this is where we need to break all of this thing, right? So basically we had our over here, right? We have our 13 big units. I shouldn't call them big units, but anyways, because we cut them in half, right, like this with the dashed line, yeah, that should be twice as much. So I just write it 26 units. 26 units, right? So 26 units is 8 is 1 unit times 26. How much is that? 208. That's your answer. 208 apples and oranges were sold. Oh, sorry, were at the stall at first. That's it.